There are two kinds of insurance agents. The first kind walks into an appointment with a plan already picked out, runs through the features, asks the client to sign, and moves on. The second kind walks in with questions, listens more than they talk, and by the end of the conversation, the client feels like they made the decision themselves. That second agent is a consultative seller. They close more business, get more referrals, and keep clients longer. This video is about becoming that agent. Consultative selling is not a technique, it's a mindset. The core idea is this: you are not there to sell a product. You are there to solve a problem. The product is just the tool you use to solve it. When you approach every appointment this way, the conversation changes. You stop pitching and start diagnosing, you stop presenting and start listening, and the client stops feeling sold to and starts feeling helped. That's the difference between an agent who writes one policy and disappears, and an agent who becomes the person that client calls for everything insurance related for the next 20 years. Here's what consultative selling looks like in practice. You already have the 5-step conversation framework from earlier in this track. Consultative selling is what makes that framework come alive. It's the philosophy underneath the steps. Let me show you what I mean. In step 1, building rapport, a consultative seller isn't performing. They're genuinely curious about the person in front of them. They're not thinking about which plan to pitch while the client is talking. They're present. In step 2, understanding the situation, a consultative seller goes deeper than the surface. The client says they want to look at their options. A transactional agent says, "Great, let me show you what's available." A consultative agent says, "Tell me more about that. What's happening with your current coverage that made you want to explore?" That one follow-up question often reveals the real problem. Maybe their doctor left the network. Maybe their drug costs doubled. Maybe their spouse just passed and they're overwhelmed. You can't solve a problem you don't know about. In step 3, identifying needs, a consultative seller doesn't just collect data. They reflect it back. After the client shares their doctors, medications, and budget preferences, you say, "So what I'm hearing is that staying with your current doctors is the top priority. You need your 3 prescriptions covered, and you'd rather pay a little more each month than deal with surprise bills. Is that right?" When the client hears their own priorities repeated back, they feel heard. And feeling heard is what builds the trust that leads to a decision. In step 4, educating simply, a consultative seller doesn't present plans. They present solutions to the problems the client just described. You don't say, "This plan has a $200 out-of-pocket maximum for specialists." You say, "Because you told me you see 2 specialists regularly, this plan would cap what you pay for those visits." That's the difference between information and advice. Clients don't need more information. They need someone to interpret the information for them based on their life. In step 5, guiding to a decision, a consultative seller never pressures. They create clarity. When you've done the first 4 steps well, the recommendation feels obvious. The client isn't being asked to make a leap. They're being guided to a conclusion they already arrived at, because you built the path one step at a time. If they're not ready, you don't push. You set a follow-up and trust the process. Pressure kills the relationship that consultative selling is designed to build. Here's the part that matters for your career. Agents who sell transactionally are always hunting for the next client. Agents who sell consultatively build a book that feeds itself. When you genuinely help someone, they tell their friends, they tell their spouse, they tell their neighbor. They call you next year without you having to chase them. The upfront investment in listening and diagnosing pays off in referrals and retention that compound over years. Your action step is this. At your next appointment, set one rule for yourself. Do not mention a plan name or a product until the client has talked for at least 10 minutes. Ask questions, listen, reflect back what you hear. You'll be surprised how much easier the rest of the conversation becomes when the client knows you actually understand their situation.